I recommend it.
Yeah.
I've been hearing good things about it, so.
Started it up.
It's good. Yeah, I mean.
Did they,
Yeah.
did,
I don't know. Do you see the planning coming? October 8th. Oh, that. I'm gonna try that.
yeah, this, it's the working, we're gonna have to troubleshoot that. I'm gonna use it.
Yeah. Need it for this meeting. Yeah, this meeting. Never just like. I was staying in my office. Yeah, she was text. Then it all came back. That's that. No. We have a meeting right now.
We miss you.
I told her that because she's not now. I said, you missed the meeting before, and then they're just. Yes.
Is that how you just miss it?
I got Michelle's text.
Huh? I did make copies. I didn't want to pull out the, pull out the projectors. This is the one.
Later.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you have to lessons? Yeah, I'm just gonna use, I'll use this microphone. Fine. That's out of my way.
I mean, I don't need this.
I'll use this. One, yeah.
Trying to get
I
that
have
figure.
just trying to get everything set up to things, so. We can do that really quickly, I got.
Hi, Bobby.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Hey, Lynn. Hey, Susie.
All right, thanks.
Hey,
Hi.
I'm more on this side.
Yes, usually you've been on
I
Sam's
think I've
side,
been over on that end, Bobby
what's it
before,
doing?
but.
but then
Yeah.
when we set up in the other
Oh,
room.
well, you know, the thing is,
You were
it's
next to
the
Sam.
cameras on the wall now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I hope it's, I mean, if you guys want to switch, you can switch.
well, I'm looking at the
Well-
screen here on Michelle's laptop and it looks like it, captures the
nice,
entire
yeah.
room. That's really clear, yeah.
Bad side though.
You better switch with Derek then. He's got two good sides. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I am a Gemini, so I have actually a twin, an evil twin, so.
I know nothing about it.
That must mean you have a birthday coming up.
I do, yeah,
What
it's at
is
the end of the month, it's on the 29th, so Memorial Day, I get it off this year.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Have your day off.
I know, right? So, yeah, it just usually, it sort of sometimes happens that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
I got Chris over there fixing her books. Here, I'm gonna get this. And it's not the first meeting, but it is still this. Hey, yes, I'm not. Michelle, what is the? That's for good. It's the same as the community center. It should not just top that. Okay. I was like, I did that. Was it correct? Yeah. It does want to pass. Yeah, it's the same as.
Rental.
I can't see you.
The R's are capitalized, but it's rec rental with the R's cap. 0896. That should be. But once you log in this time, it should remember you next time. Yeah.
Recognize it for next time. Although I see two possibilities. One is PH rec and the other is PH rent.
Rental.
Yeah, okay.
A PH.
Okay, yeah, they want the other one.
Yeah, the other one is internal server.
Okay, so that was right. 0.
896. Last 4 digits of our phone number here.
Security people would say, great.
That's the ones we give to our employees.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Good. Oops. How's the family, Bobby?
That's
How's the family?
family as well, thanks, yeah. They're softball and swim. Like, softball's winding down, swim's starting,
Oh,
school's about to end. It's
a lot going on.
it's controlled chaos.
I'm happy that the season for lacrosse is basically, done this weekend, so.
Yeah, and it's softball was supposed to be over for the instructional this Saturday, but because of all the rain.
Oh,
It's actually,
yes.
yeah, got like 3 more weeks. Our last game is Wednesday, the 31st, which is the first Dolphin swim meet, so we're gonna have.
Double duty.
Well, is it double duty or choices?
I mean, I gotta coach the softball thing and I'll head over here. Got set up to the pool on Saturday, 6:30 a.m. Yeah,
Says the season.
I'm recording. Yeah, let's see.
just excited to get rid of our softball uniforms. We drew the angels, which
You're not too thrilled about, yeah.
nobody. I mean, I don't know. I'm
A whole Angels fans.
one person that's an actual Angels fan.
Yeah, I have a buddy who's an Angels fan.
Especially not here.
I mean, I'm an A's fan too, so it's worse.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You have to go buy. I had to go buy a sweatshirt and I have an Angels shirt, a National sweatshirt.
And you're like, "Wait, how here?"
All these random teams.
Hi, Queen.
All right, yeah.
Is it Ken?
It is Karen.
Ken, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you. It's nice to have an audience this evening.
And I'm gonna have you
On the here. So, I was out of town and didn't get it. So what I- I know, we've got it. He's gonna speak on the public.
Should I do this or not?
No, we got you. And it's okay.
Is this the?
That's the agenda, yeah. Thank you.
Hi.
It's this awkward silence and you're just.
Just waiting for 7 o'clock to
Waiting
the
for-
bell to chime. Yeah. Waiting for the gavel to like come down.
1 minute. You're gonna be coaching your swim team?
Oh, no, they don't let me. But I am the referee starter team, so
Okay,
I can do that, you know,
Oh,
take
that's
your mark.
cool. Gotta watch out for those parents. Huh?
We're secluded, we're like, you can't get the.
They hide you away.
Yeah.
All right, it's now 7 o'clock. I'm gonna call to order the meeting of the Pleasant Hill Recreation Park District Board of Directors. This is Thursday, May 11th, 2023. And we are meeting in the district office of the board room of the district office. There are a number of ways that members of the public can participate in our meeting, and I would invite all members of the public, of course, to do that. One, of course, is to be present in the room here with us and be able to address us directly. Another is to hit the link in our agenda to connect with us by Zoom. And public comment can be made that way. And if you prefer, if many members of the public who are listening prefer, they can also call in. There's a phone number also listed on our agenda. Okay, let the roll show that all members of the board of directors are present. And that let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Vice Chair Benson, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 3 on our agenda is an opportunity for any members of the public to address the board of directors on any subject not on our agenda.
Ken is here. Ken's hospital is going to come up because staff forgot to
agenda.
Staff told him he was going to be on the agenda and then forgot to put it on the agenda because the general manager was traveling. So Ken is gonna speak under public comments. He has a request.
Very briefly.
He has a request.
So my name is Ken Hausfeld and I represent the Relay for Life of Diablo Valley. This will be the 14th year that the relay will be held. So far, we've raised about $900,000 to help fight cancer. The relay this year is going to be held in Pleasant Hill Community Park, right here near the Teen Center. And my request is that you waive the fees for the use of the picnic benches during the relay. The relay will be held on September 30th from 12 p.m. until 7 p.m. And that is about it. I've also brought a flyer about the relay. Bobby Glover is graciously formed a city rec and park team again for, I think, the 14th year. And I would encourage you to join that team and participate in the relay. Pass this out. Do you have any questions?
Any questions for Ken?
I will be bringing this back for the board to consider waiving of fees at your next meeting.
Sorry, you were not on our agenda.
Yeah,
this
that's all
evening, so
right.
You could have debated it this evening, but thank you very much for the information. And for taking the time out of your busy time
Not a
to
problem.
come and talk with us about that. So we hope to have some news for you after our next meeting.
Thank you very much.
It reminded me, I'll send a thing out to everybody for the teams. We have a joint team with the city, and so we usually get the council and rec and park and staff. So,
Is there a limit to how many people on the team or?
No,
Nope.
no limit to the amount of people or the amount of money you raise. Postino's has graciously donated the proceeds of a golf tournament each year for the last 5 years, and they raise about $30,000. So that's helped us meet our goal.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Thanks
Okay.
again.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
yeah.
We'll get it done, I promise.
All right. Are there any other members of the public would like to address the board on some subject not on our agenda this evening that are present here tonight? Seeing none, Michelle, or excuse me, Susie, do we have any Zoom?
There's nobody on Zoom raising their hand for public comment.
I'm sorry,
And we haven't received any emails.
that was something I was supposed to ask. Yes.
That's okay.
Any emails, Susie?
No.
Any raised hands, Michelle?
No.
No. Okay. All right, we're going to close public comment then and move on to our next agenda item, which is reports and presentations. Item 4.1 is report from our general manager, Michelle.
Great, thank you. I have a report attached for the board's information. I have a couple of things to add. We put it in the last general manager report, but just a reminder that Bike to Work Day is next Thursday on May 18th. Our staff, Susie and Anna, will be hosting an Energizer station at the Canal Trail from 7 to 9:30. So stop by and see her or see them and get some goodies and some Energizer and energizing on your way to work if you are going to go by bike. So that is great. Susie has always been the person who kind of spearheads that and gets us involved. So it's a great opportunity for us to promote the district and riding alternate modes of transportation. So that's great. Also,
Will Susie be in costume?
well, Susie in costume. Sometimes she on a.
We have our
Yeah.
rainbow
Costume.
tutus on.
They have the rainbow tutus. They're
And if anyone wants to help, stop by.
yeah. If you want to help stop by, then so. But
Well, you have a tutu or two. Don't you?
Several.
So it's
Sure they fit.
And then next week on Wednesday through Friday, I will actually be at the California Association of Rec and Park District Conference and the Capri Board meeting. Starting the Capri Board meeting is on Wednesday, and then the conference is on Thursday and Friday, and I'll be coming back on Saturday. It's my outgoing as president for CARPD, so I will be done with that assignment after this conference. And conference this year is in Yosemite, and I believe board member Tran is joining us for the CARPD conference. So excited about that.
I hear that the road to Yosemite has been closed. You have to go through the southern entrance.
Southern.
Yeah, we're on the southern
Oh,
entrance.
you're down at tonight.
Yeah, we're going to Sonata. Yeah, so we're good. So we're not actually in the park. So
Okay, good.
yeah, and it's a little, yes, we're fine. So and then Art and Wine Festival is next week, and the district is hosting a district information booth as part of that event. So we'll have a presence out there. So excited about that. And then I want to thank everybody who has donated for the bench for a memorial to Chuck Hurtado. If you still want to donate, please let me know. I'm collecting donations. I appreciate those who have done that. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Questions from Michelle?
I just had a quick comment, on the report, there was the youth services that offered the kids night out on April 21st. That was, something that I, was able to take a part of with my kids so that I could attend the Gregory Gardens Elementary School fundraiser. So I really appreciated that it was an option for the kids to participate in that, and the, function was very successful. It raised like $23,000, so above what they had as their goal. So I definitely appreciate the ability of the park to kind of help out with that overall event, and hopefully more of those types of events come around. Typically they used to be offered around holidays, so that the
Right.
parents could get a chance to kind of go out for a Valentine's dinner, or maybe, around Christmas, they go out and do some shopping, things like that. So hopefully those kind of come back again. I'd like to see that happen.
So how did the event work? And was it the teen center that was the contribution, or the venue here?
Yeah, so the teen center was open. Parents got to drop off their kids and sign them in, and then they had a movie going and a few other activities, from what I understand. And then we were adjacent at the senior center at the Chateau room where the auction was happening with the spaghetti feed, and it was a good event. It was very well put together.
Yeah, and our staff ran the Kids Night Out
Yeah.
program, so
Nice, nice. Nice.
it's a very popular program. It's,
Mhm.
basically a large, day camp in the evening.
Yeah.
So,
And it's very reasonable in terms of like, if you were to have to hire a babysitter for that time, it would cost more. So, there's some leveraging of the numbers, if you will, to get, coverage for your kids. So that's very appreciated.
That's cool.
Mhm.
Is that idea used in other
yes.
platforms?
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Good.
Hopefully, everything's starting to come back slowly but surely. Some of these, things as we have more staff and more opportunities. So, yeah.
Nice to know. Any other questions of Michelle? Okay, move to item 4.2. We have no public comment on the general manager.
No,
I can take it.
no.
4.2, presentation regarding the funding available from the IRA for energy efficiency projects. Michelle.
Yes, great. I'm gonna introduce Jeff Land. Jeff, hold up for me. I need to share this. And so I put the presentation in front of you because I didn't want to set up the projector, but I am gonna share this presentation on
Zoom.
Zoom.
And these sections.
Yeah, those are extras. Yep.
And Jeff, what did your last name again?
Land.
Disneyland.
Like-
Disneyland.
Happiest place on earth.
That's even easier.
So Jeff works with Oppenheimer. And Jeff, those of you who've been on the board for a while know that Jeff has been involved in assisting us with securing funding in a variety of ways, from building leases to get furniture for our new community center to our refinancing of our bonds to save money. And so Jeff is kind of always on the lookout for funding opportunities for the district and for other districts throughout the state. And Jeff came to me and said, Michelle, were you aware that there are subsidies for municipalities for renewable energy projects in the Inflation Reduction Act? And I said, no, I had no idea. And so Jeff came to me and showed me the presentation. I said, well, I asked him to come to present to the board so that if the board is interested, we could start exploring the opportunities we may have to get some funding to help us with some of our building efficiency, especially things like the senior center, which is a very expensive project that we've been trying to do for the HVAC. And so if we could roll all of that in together, I think it might be a good opportunity. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to ask Jeff.
You're doing a better job than I could. Thank you, Michelle. And it has been a privilege to be working with this district for the past 10 years now. Yeah, I've done a variety of things together. As Michelle said, we're always on the lookout for funding opportunities for you or areas in which we can provide service. So very exciting stuff. Let's talk federal legislation, right? Exciting. The Inflation Reduction Act got passed in 2022. And there is a section in there that is for local governments. And I'm going off script a little bit, Michelle, because you didn't put a projector up, so now I can go off script.
I know, but they all have it.
Oh, they got my script, okay.
Yeah, well, they have script and I'm showing it online.
All right, well, I'll stick to the script then. Okay, so. Yeah, in 2022, we got legislation passed, and there is a section in there for local governments. And really what it's meant to do is to encourage you to, move forward with energy efficiency measures. And in the past, there have been similar programs. There was a clean renewable energy bond program, very similar. The way that the subsidy functions is as a direct pay refund, so you would get a check from the IRS. Which is nice, because you guys don't pay taxes, so getting a check from them is great. And that check that you get can be used to help pay for your project. Or it can be potentially an unrestricted amount of money that you can use for other government purposes. There is still some guidance being released right now by the IRS regarding some of those details. But I'm going to go over tonight what we do know. And what we do know is that there is the time frame for the subsidy is if you begin your project by the end of 2023, you could be eligible for a base subsidy rate of 25.5% of your project costs. That's if you use any sort of tax exempt financing to implement your project. If you pay cash out of your general fund, you would get a 30% subsidy back. So there is a small haircut, if you will, on the base subsidy rate if you finance it. Okay, but 25.5% is still a very generous payback to jumpstart some energy efficiency measures. There are bonus subsidies that are potentially available. For example, if you go like 100% American made in any of your projects, you could be getting a bonus subsidy. There's another bonus subsidy, but you would not qualify because it has to do with being in what's known as an energy community. And that's a community that's got fossil fuels being produced in it. So as Michelle and I talked about, it was like, that's probably Richmond and Martinez, just nearby, but here, yeah, you would probably not qualify for that energy community subsidy bonus. So what we're really talking about is a base subsidy rate of either 30% or 25.5% of the project costs. So we can talk about, some of the eligible projects that are in this program, and it's a fairly wide range of projects that would be eligible. So clearly, if we're talking about renewable energy, we are talking solar. It's my understanding, there is no solar on any facilities?
No.
Okay, so solar would be one area project that you could look into to see if it benefits you. Some of the other ones that may be applicable to your agency, HVAC, heat pumps, LED lightings, microgrid controllers, energy storage. So because that's a big thing right now is energy storage, right? If you're generating energy when it's daytime, right? And the sun's coming down, and you're storing that energy in a battery and reusing it, right? So that's one of the projects that would be qualifying. Charging stations, we think, could probably be in the mix as well. I'm not sure if you guys already have that in place, right?
We do not.
Okay. Charging stations, we work with a lot of rec and park districts. I've been talking a lot about it. Those are really attractive for a rec and park district, and you can imagine why. You're dropping the family off for soccer, softball, whatever. You're hanging out for a half hour. You're charging your car at the same time. So there's some, and also it's a good opportunity for advertisement of your agency, because if somebody, let's say, is not using your facilities but is driving through and needs to charge up, they can maybe take a look at all the programming you guys offer. So that's just how other agencies have been doing some of the benefits to these projects. There are subsidies available for electric vehicles as well. That's a hot topic, of course. The subsidy is fairly minor on the electric vehicle side. It's you're buying, a car that is less than 14,000 pounds. The subsidy is $7,500, and if it's above that amount, if it's above that weight, it's $40,000. Any questions thus far on this exciting?
Actually, that was a lot.
A couple things to point out. As a local government, you may hear the term power purchase agreement thrown around sometimes. If you do one of those, you do not get the subsidy. So I would say for now, the bigger benefit if you're going to do any sort of energy efficiency measures is to own it yourself as opposed to going into a power purchase agreement, because then you get the benefit of the subsidy.
So leasing solar.
Yeah, you have a provider. Yeah, a lot of folks do it. I can see why. You don't have the responsibility of the construction, and so you pass that on to whoever's owning it. The problem is you're leasing your power, so you're not getting the benefit of the You're not getting the huge benefit of the energy savings, they're just fixing your energy costs, right? So when you own it yourself, it's your energy, you're saving the money, you're getting the subsidy rate. So that's where you really get probably the maximum benefit. What I will say is that right now, there are a number of agencies that are known as, they're contractors. There's specific type of contractors. They're called energy savings companies. Right, some of you might be familiar with this. So they do design build, right? And the whole objective here is they come in, they do an energy audit. So they take in your energy data, they should take in your data, say how much energy do you use, how much are you spending on that energy? They look at it over like a 3-year period. They take a look at all your facilities and they assess what projects could benefit you. Where could you guys really get the most savings and benefit from energy efficiency measures? And it comes to, like, I think as you guys can all imagine, there's like the basics, it's lighting, HVAC, solar, all that jazz, right? So that's what a contractor in that nature does. They are, like I said, a specified contractor because they do design build, so no change orders or anything like that. They are, there's a government code that awards them, that allows them to be sole sourced. The requirements in working with these guys, this is an important one, and everyone should remember, if you're going to talk to any of them in the future, the requirement is it has to be budget neutral, meaning it should not cost you money. It has to be savings. That's how they are able to work with you. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So that's a big part of the process, and it is. But one thing that is important with these energy savings companies is that they will guarantee savings for a certain amount of years. They'll guarantee your savings, and they will also be in charge of maintaining the equipment, which is big because you don't want Michelle up there cleaning solar panels. There's more important things to do. So having them there to maintain the system is important as well. Any questions on that? Okay. We can move on to the next page. One other thing to add about the eligibility requirements. When you work with a company like an energy savings company that has familiarity with this legislation, they make sure that the projects they're implementing will qualify. So that comes into, are they using a crew, which you have to use prevailing wages, that have apprentice programs. Those are all requirements, and it's pretty standard right now with all of the agencies looking to utilize the subsidy. Okay. So talk real briefly about just how you pay for it. So a few different ways. Use cash, pay for the projects. You can work with someone like myself, and we do a tax-exempt financing like we've done in the past. There's 2 ways you can do that tax-exempt financing. The optimal way that we will look to is doing an equipment lease. So it's just a master equipment lease. The equipment that they put in, that's what the collateral is on the financing. Okay. The alternative way to finance it would be a real property lease, which you guys have, where you have a real property asset that you use to collateralize the financing. So as you can imagine, the first way, equipment lease, is much better, and is what we would pursue. But there's the alternative is your real property lease, which you guys have done before. Recently.
We have that. We did a real property lease to secure the financing for Oak Park.
Yep, and then we refinanced, and then there's another real property lease that refinance. I think it's securing this. So there's 3.
Yeah, well,
The capital
we have
one.
one on the
Yeah.
teen center and one on
Teen
the
center,
senior center.
Yeah. So, done real property lease financing in the past, but like I said, a master equipment lease is really simple and less encumbering and cumbersome for you. So that would be things to look into if you get down the road. And then the financing term on these is usually 20 years. You know, who wants to hear about the market?
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, guys. It's you take a look at this graph. So 2021, we had really low interest rates. And this year, they've just gone this way. The market's down today. Every day I wake up and I look at the 10-year treasury to see what it's done. Has it moved 20 basis points which way or the other? It's kind of a wild ride right now. Yeah, it's a bit of a rocky ride. But I will say this, there is market volatility for everyone, not just municipalities, of course, but for anyone who is doing any sort of financing, mortgage rates, etc. But interest rates on a historical level, they're still fairly low. So we're still not, we're not in the interest rate range that we were in the early 2000s, not in the 90s, not I mean, we are for the last 10 years, we're in a higher interest rate environment, but if you look at it in a broader standpoint, still in a lower interest rate environment. Now, how does that relate to an energy efficiency financing? Well, we make sure that the interest rate that we're utilizing is fitting within the program, meaning that it's not costing you money. So we have to make sure we're getting pricing that fits within the energy saving program. So that's an important part of how we structure this type of financing. And we'll see what happens with data over the next month or so to see if the Fed will raise rates again, or if they will hold them steady, or maybe down the road they'll start cutting those rates. That's people in my line of work hope for that. With regard to the legislation and the Inflation Reduction Act, one thing that I do want to just bring up briefly is it is legislation. It's federal legislation, meaning it's political. What it means is, because a lot of people ask me, is this going to be around forever? I would say probably not. I think that, the reality is that if there is a change at the White House, if there's a change at the Senate and at the federal level, it's likely that if there's Republican leadership, they will gut this or just, they will take this legislation off the table. It's very out in the open about that. They aren't fans of subsidies related to renewable energy. So I think that's useful for you to know, just to know that, hey, this is probably not going to be around forever. Any questions about that? So regarding our qualifications, we've had an opportunity to really have a long-lasting relationship that I really appreciated, that earned trust that we developed over the years. We are the financial consultants to CSDA, and so CSDA members, which you guys are, when every members like yourself need funding needs, they come to us as the consultants to CSDA. And I've had a real pleasure of working with a lot of recreation and park districts like yourselves. And today I got some good tidbit for you guys. It only took me 1 hour and 50 minutes to get from Highlands Recreation District to here, and that's in San Mateo at 4 o'clock. So now we know. 1 hour and 50 from San Mateo.
It could take me 3 hours.
It could take me, and I was wondering if it was going to take me 3 hours. Hour 50, guys. So yeah.
Who knows?
But no, it's always been a pleasure working with everything that goes on with the mission of Park and Rec, and so I do appreciate your time today, or this evening. Any other questions?
Questions for Jeff? Gosh, where to start?
Well, I happen to not have a whole lot of questions because it is actually in my line of work.
Oh,
I
great.
do. So as an engineer for water and wastewater utilities municipality,
Okay.
we're looking into this actively for a lot of our clients. So I'm very familiar with the IRA and what is happening as associated with that. And I think there's some applicability to some of the things that we've got, some of the needs we've got coming up, and part of land and facilities might be something to look at, for these projects. But I understand, there is kind of a period of when this, would be available, and it's administrative related. So if the administration changes, who knows? And I'm just curious, like what types of projects we have currently on the books that could qualify. I remember, a few meetings ago, we talked a little bit about, the bathrooms that we're doing at Roger Smith. I don't know that they're necessarily a candidate, but, I asked about what opportunities are there for energy efficiency, maybe solar on top of those buildings, things like that. Bigger picture, if we're partnering with energy service companies or things like that, I see potentials here, at the park for solar, electrification, perhaps, for maintenance trucks, charging stations, all rolled into, some sort of campus-wide kind of energy efficiency measure. I know that there's a lot of interest too in terms of resiliency centers. Has been a topic where PG&E isn't quite all that reliable, as we've come to find out, and outages, and people are starting to think about what they can do to have community resiliency centers, places where there are energy storage centers that can help during a time of an emergency and people can come congregate. So the park setting is maybe one of those places could be staged as a, resiliency center if it was equipped to handle that type of situation, but that's, a lot bigger type of aspiration, I guess you could say, but I was thinking in the immediate future might be what we can do to kind of capitalize this right now, because it's a good, program for us to get in front of, and I think a lot of people are lining up for this type of available funding.
Thank you, Dan.
Mhm.
Other questions? Sandy?
And did I hear correctly that you indicated that this would have to begin by the end of the year?
No, it's the way that the subsidy is allocated, so the guidance that we have right now is that yes, they're saying to get that full base subsidy rate. You gotta start in beginning is that's where we're kind of looking for some further guidance of what constitutes begin. Is begin a resolution? Is begin, shovels in the ground, or getting some wires hooked up? So we're still working on that. So but it's possible in reading the legislation that there would be reductions in 2024 and a further reduction in 2025 if you don't use, this is the key, if you don't use 100% American-made domestic content. So I think the game plan here is that they're trying to gear up in the States the equipment that you would need to do these programs, because some of this stuff you can't get in the United States. So by 24, 25, maybe it'll be American made, the stuff that you need, and that you would still be eligible for the full base subsidy rate. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Other questions?
Can I just respond to board member Worth's question about eligible projects we have in the pipeline now? Yeah.
I actually sort of thought that this presentation would be tethered to that, so that would be helpful.
Yeah, so we don't, since we haven't had any funding, we don't have any projects specifically on our CIP list at this point in time identified. At a staff level, we have a number of things in building efficiency, and we've talked about building controls, LED, the HVAC system, which needs to be updated at the senior center. And that's a large project. And so I think the first step would be for us to look at an energy project consultant and get some proposals and and have them do an analysis, looking at, looking at our PG&E bills and all of the other things and figuring out what the best projects might be. And so I think that would be step one. And then we move forward with that.
We've submitted requests for grants in the past, and they've been competitive grants. Is this competitive?
Well, that's what's interesting. No, it's not. It's not like there's not like a ranking system, right? No, there's no volume cap to this. It's not a grant. It's a subsidy. It's not even a first come first serve. It's if you built the project and it's eligible and your attorneys fill out the right paperwork to the IRS processes it and gives you your subsidy. So it's great. It's a great program in that respect. I think the downside to it though is the political ones.
The political side of it.
Yeah, the political side. The political ones is where the downside is.
So someone that's relying on this money coming in, the subsidy, in order to help pay for things, could find the rug pulled out.
They could.
Yeah.
They could, certainly.
So sooner the better, one would think, or keep the finger into the
Right.
political wins.
I think that's a clear-eyed view of this.
Yeah, well, I did hear that the president said that the IRA was off the table with respect to the debt the debt.
Yes, we've
ceiling.
been following that fairly
And I don't know
closely.
whether that, will last, but we'll see.
Yeah, and you're right, and that's good to pay attention to, right? I am in contact with a DC lobbyist who kind of been reporting to me how this is going. Yeah, they're not the Biden administration is likely not going to budge off their key legislation they passed to gut it. But yes, let's put that on the table.
So is it an energy consultant that would be the one that would advise us about what sorts of projects might qualify?
Yeah, they know. Yeah, they know what qualifies. So that when they're doing their energy audit and then coming to you with some recommended projects, they're going to make sure those projects are qualifying. So yeah, they're a contractor. So
And then we talk with someone like you about how we pay. For
yeah, exactly,
what the options are.
exactly.
How quickly can we put together a facilities meeting?
But we have one on the 22nd. We have one on the 22nd. So that's why I put this on this meeting,
Yeah,
because we would have one on the 22nd. So,
I mean, I have lots and lots of thoughts about it. So it's a matter of, as chair of this board, trying to figure out how best to move forward. To learn more about it and what sorts of projects we can all brainstorm. To see what we can, slip into this.
Sure.
Because I do think that timing is certainly an issue, and we should talk with Mr. Tomatola about it as well. Okay.
and this is just a presentation this evening. So
Yeah, my sense in listening to you, Jeff, was that I'd like to think about what we could do here and then have you come back and talk about all this again.
Yeah.
So we can, kind of fit it into our knowledge box about, how this would really work.
Sure.
And
I had just one follow-up question. You mentioned, the projects need to be budget neutral. Is that over a certain period of time? Is that over that?
Yeah, it needs at the end, yeah, you need to be saving money, so you need to be showing savings. I mean, there may be years in which you may be showing some bit of a cost, right? But overall, you have to have overall savings.
Okay, so it's over some sort of defined lifespan of maybe the equipment or,
Yeah.
okay.
and is it the whole design build project, or is it just the energy efficiency pieces of it?
Well, that's what it is. The design build project is all energy efficiency projects, right?
Even the
All
foundation? and
connected.
the-
Yeah, they're all, it's all connected. It's all one thing. Yeah. So like, for example, if you need a new roof,
That's part of it. too.
yeah, they come in, they'll replace your roof. And they slap solar on the roof and say, hey, we need this roof. and solar."
Subsidize the roof replacement. as a result.
Yeah, I was thinking more along the lines if we did, gymnasium.
Yeah.
Where we don't own one right now. We don't have one. We don't even have one on the boards right now.
It's
we
all,
don't-
yeah,
I mean,
it's
there's
not
a
just,
lot of issues here.
so I think that, yeah, the distinction here, and it's a good question. It's like, this is not a solar provider. These companies do all encompassing contract work
Mhm.
for energy efficiency. Yeah.
Yeah, and to your point, it's not just solar, that's a qualifying type of renewable energy now. They've opened it up to a lot more options, battery and fuel cell, all kinds of things.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you
and
so much for having me.
for
Yeah.
Keeping
Thanks,
us in
Jeff.
mind as
Yeah.
you're putting these things together. and,
Absolutely.
um,
See you again soon, guys. Take care.
Thank you. Yeah.
Bye-bye, Jeff. Any public comment on that issue?
no public comment. Don't have anybody hand raised. Did you have any?
Anybody
No
else?
emails.
Okay, all right. Well, we lost Ken. I guess he's running after me.
Ken has questions.
Yeah.
All right, item number 5 is our consent calendar. This is items considered to be routine by the board of directors and enacted by one motion. We have 2 items. Do we take them separately, Michelle, or we usually do the consent calendar combined, but I see they're now broken down into 5.1 and 5.2.
Yeah, it's still all the same. So all one consent calendar, but those are just the different items. So it's just a different numbering. So we usually take them together unless someone wants to pull something.
Okay. Any comments or questions on either of these items? Okay.
I had just
yes,
one,
please.
because I saw the bond continuing disclosure item.
Yeah.
I was curious, there's some reporting.
Yeah, there's
regarding-
reporting.
okay.
Yes, there's annual reporting, bond disclosure, that we have to report to the state. And so we have a consultant that helps us with that
Okay,
complicated work.
yeah, good. I just didn't know what that line item was.
Yeah,
for.
it keeps us in compliance with the state laws on reporting our financing.
There is one item in the warrants that I'd like to consider maybe postponing until our next meeting. It is a payment to the senior center club, or the senior club, excuse me. Accounts are pretty much in flux right now, as we get closer to the end of the fiscal year, and I want to make sure that these funds, it's about $6,565, that these funds are posted in a way that they are designated for senior center items. And I know that's been a concern of the senior club. So I'd like to suggest that we pull that and Michelle, that you advise us a little bit more about, where that
Yeah,
I
we're
concern
working
as
that.
well,
So
yeah.
just so the board knows, since the senior club, we're folding their accounts into the district accounts. And we're in the process of working on that. Since they're using our tax ID number. I think Chair Bernardo's just wants to make sure that we identify that specifically. So we'll pull that and then we'll bring it back.
Okay, thank you. With that exception, any other questions or comments on the consent calendar? Then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move the consent calendar with the exception as noted.
Okay, thank you, Sandy. Any second?
Second.
Second, by Dirk Wurst. All in favor? Aye. Okay, 5-0. By the way, Susie or Michelle, I'd like to thank you for moving the in the minutes that we
Yeah.
have there, moving the vote down
Yeah.
to the bottom of the item.
Yeah.
It really reads so much better. So thank you so much for that.
We're all learning the new software.
Anyway, it was nice to see. Item number 6 are action items. 6.1 to approve resolution 2023-05-11 declaring May as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And so Michelle.
Great, yeah. So as part of the board strategic priorities from your retreat a couple of years ago, one of the action items under the strategic priority of engaging in a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive district for our community. One of the things was to for the board to do more proclamations honoring different groups within the community. And so last year we declared May as Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and that was our first proclamation we did last year. So tonight the staff is bringing this before the board to ask for you to declare that again this May. And so with that, I'll take any questions.
Questions? Okay. Any public comment on this? Any from the public present? Susie, any emails?
No, we have not received any.
Any raised hands?
And no raised hands.
There's no raised hands. Okay, we'll bring it back to the board then, after closing public comment. Any comments? Discussion?
Looking at me.
Part to honor you as well, so we are obviously very pleased to do that. My interest though would be in making sure that we not make this exclusive, and that we make sure that if there are other groups in our community that should also receive these sorts of resolutions, that we recognize them and identify them and recognize them as well.
Yes, staff will be, I did have a conversation with Chair Bernardo about that, and staff hasn't been as good at identifying those and making sure those get on our agenda, so we will do better at that in the future, and we'll create a calendar.
Is the luau, I guess I should have done some questions, is the luau program, the special event, is that linked to this?
I don't know, it is fortuitous that it happens in May. I don't know if staff intentionally did that or not, but I do know that they have some Hawaiian dancers and things like that that celebrate that, but I can't speak for certain.
It seemed like a good symbiosis.
It is a nice symbiosis.
Synchronicity, yes. All right, I will entertain a motion to approve item 6.1 in this resolution.
I'll go ahead and move the resolution to approve the proclamation declaring May as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
Thank you, Queen. Any second? Second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve this resolution. All in favor? Aye. 5-0. Thank you all. All right. This motion comes up on my screen.
Oh, sorry. Oh, when Susie's doing it at like real time. Yeah, because Susie's doing it real time, so it comes up on yours. So yeah, literal real time. You see Susie doing it.
All right, we're moving from luau's to 3-year contracts for pool maintenance services. Michelle.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. I'm going to invite Nicole Watson, our recreation superintendent, up. Since Corey had a Dolphins board meeting, so she's at the teen center tonight.
New parents.
And so, yeah, so she has new parents. So I'm going to ask Nicole to present this item. Sure.
Hello, board.
Hello.
So it's that time of 3 years, actually. We are entering into a new cycle for pool maintenance services. And at the beginning of the calendar year, we did a request for proposal to see who's out there and what sort of estimates we could receive. And as you can see here, we do a 3-year contract with an option for us to renew for 2 additional 1-year periods. So East Bay Pool Services came in at $43,200, quite a good deal in comparison to the one other one we received. It is an increase from what we have been paying, but I think that is probably not much of a surprise, just in the way that everything, inflation has increased the rates for all kinds of supplies and services. So you'll see here, we have budgeted appropriately for the upcoming fiscal years, and we have sufficient funds for the contracts. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to.
Questions for Nicole?
Well, just one, I noted there's a lot of daily services, so are there folks out there every?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to
Yeah,
confirm that
we've had
wasn't-
East Bay pools now for over 5 years, and we're really pleased with their services. They maintain pools throughout the area and the school district as well.
So our staff isn't necessarily involved in, testing chemistry and doing some of those types of.
Well, we do that, but some of the, the maintenance and the repairs and things like that, we rely on East Bay.
Yeah, there's a regular schedule as the pool is open that our staff needs to test the pool. So, so they do that on a
We
regular
keep
schedule.
logs.
Okay.
Keep logs.
Yeah, I was just curious, what the, kind of responsibilities were for their staff versus our own. So, because if they're out daily, it seems like maybe there's some overlap. Perhaps.
Yeah, I think years ago, prior to my time here, we handled it internally, and this is far greater cost savings to us to contract it out.
Yeah, far greater reliability.
Correct.
It's been.
True.
Yeah, we're really pleased with this.
Good relationship. Other questions?
I was going to ask that question, how if the staff were happy with East Bay Pool Services. I was just sort of curious how the 2 estimates were like 2 times the difference, and why they're so far apart. In that, because usually if it's either they're just more expensive, or if the request for bid was sort of off, or they didn't understand, or I wasn't quite sure why it was just so different.
So we sent it to Tate Farms and posted it as well on our website, and this is the response we got. So I'm not sure I can speak to why the big contrast there, but it wasn't really hard. For us to come up with the recommendations.
Sometimes contractors will just put in a bid, even though they don't necessarily have time for the work. And if they get it, then it's a bonus. But there really isn't a lot of pool services companies that are doing municipal work. So municipal work requires for paying prevailing wage, keeping logs and records for state, for pursuant to the labor code. So so your basic pool service, kind of small mom and pop operation, they're not going to do that. And so I think that really limits our those who are willing to bid, and it also sometimes will inflate the price. But East Bay Pools does primarily municipal and school district work. So they're kind of set up for that.
Thank you.
Nicole, have they had any personnel issues about not being able to have enough people?
Not that I've heard.
I mean, this is a lot. This is consistent, and probably takes a couple of hours when they come out.
Very dependable and responsive. When we do have issues, we find that they're easy to get a hold of, and the follow-up is quick and thorough. So.
I had a couple questions about the work scope. And so it seemed to me like I wanted to ask Michelle if we infill some of these services. For example, the diving boards are inspected only every other week. And yet, and there's something about the spray ground also, where the equipment is only inspected by this company on a periodic basis. Is that often enough? And do we have the lifeguards also doing it?
Yes, our lifeguards, our lifeguards do safety checks on all of the equipment.
Okay, good.
So But just as an FYI, our diving boards cannot be repaired, so they're being removed. And so we are in the process of doing that right now. So
Okay,
Removed and replaced or just?
no, the pool is not, so you can't repair these are old, and the pool is not deep enough
Mhm.
for diving boards. And so this just happened, I just found out about it today.
Right, they're
And so,
already
yeah.
taken out.
Yeah.
So
So,
it's unfortunate.
Yes,
That
it
is
is. And so we were limping them along for as long as we
Mhm.
could continue to fix them. And then once they became a safety hazard, we needed to remove them. But you can't, by current standards, our pool is not deep enough for the diving board. So
which certainly is to my next question,
Mhm.
which is, obviously we don't want to throw money for diving boards or other
Mhm.
things into this particular facility because we're hoping to have some alternatives
Right.
available to us. So this is a 3-year contract.
Mhm.
I didn't see anything in here that allows us to get out.
we can terminate at any time.
It doesn't say that, but
Mhm.
it says they can terminate it. Let's see.
And the contract is normally.
District requirements, discrimination. Anyway, I just need to make sure that the contract does allow us.
Yeah, our standard contract, we didn't have the contract attached, did you?
No.
No, yeah, so we have the
This
standard
is-
contract,
this
yeah.
is sort of
This is the RFP,
Mhm.
but our standard contract, which they have signed previously, has, we have a 30-day out clause.
30-day out,
Yeah.
okay,
Mhm.
good. Also, do they, is this particular just based on our own knowledge of them carry more insurance and their own knowledge?
I believe they carry just $1 million is what's required, so. Yeah, but I don't know.
Is Capri and has that been running
And-
the flag?
Yeah, and they're fine with that. That's Capri's current requirement. They're talking about moving it to 2 million, but right now it's still 1 million.
I mean, even if we were to up this bid a little bit
Mhm.
more in order for them to get more coverage,
Right.
and that would be a negotiation to have
Yeah.
with them, I think. But the question about whether Capri is
Yeah,
okay
Capri.
with this is. Things can go wrong. And let's see. Are the chemicals included in this or just the service?
This is just the service. Yeah, the chemicals
It's a
come in,
separate bid.
they come in a separate bid. Didn't we approve that?
Yeah,
We
that
did.
was.
Yeah,
along-
you
yeah.
mentioned something about
Yeah.
labor and supplies too, so I just wondered if that had changed somehow. We were combining them in this fairly good price.
No, I just meant relative to how things have been.
Those are all the questions that I had. Thank you very much for the responses. I'm satisfied. Any other questions of staff? Any public comment on this from the audience?
No,
Susie? any
emails
emails?
received.
And nobody in the public is raising their hand in Zoom.
Alrighty, then we will close public comment and bring it back to the board. Any discussion on this contract? Or we call for a motion?
No real comment on the contract, but just in light of the news that we don't have the dive boards anymore, I think it might be appropriate to have some sort of communication out to the public, like, hey, why are they gone?
We are working on
Yeah,
that.
so
Yes,
we have met with Jen earlier this week and we're working on some messaging.
Okay.
we're working on some
Facing them.
and we'll update. We have some updates on the pool for the land and facilities committee meeting on the 22nd.
Okay.
Did we take photographs before we removed them?
I believe we have photographs. So
The reason I ask is because we might want it in some phase of our bond project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we have.
Question, Derek. Any other discussion or comments?
I will take pictures of the stumps.
There's a good chance for you.
Yeah, that's-
Entertain a motion to approve this contract.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we authorize the general manager to award a 3-year contract in the amount of $43,200 for pool maintenance service to East Bay Pool Services, Inc., commencing July 1st, 2023.
A second.
And second, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Please thank them for their service, Michelle.
I will.
That we're pleased to continue their relationship.
So we'll do so. Thank you.
All right. Come on, Susie. Okay, verbal reports from committee chairs and opportunity to set meetings, dates. Land and Facilities is meeting on the 22nd. Michelle, let's see, budget and finance?
Yeah, we didn't have anything meet since the last.
And then go on, yes.
But we'll have the 22nd, we have land and facilities, and budget and finance on the 25th. And then I had said, once we got the budget committee done, we'll go on to program committee. So we'll do that in June, so.
Any comments or observations about that?
Question on the time of
Yeah.
budget and finance.
Yeah.
Since we're here.
Yeah.
And even if
We can move
went,
that back.
even if we went 3 hours, it'd be 5 o'clock, so.
Yeah.
You want to be here for,
Yeah, we can push it. You want to push it closer?
Yes, fine.
it
You
works
guys-
for me.
Okay.
I pretty much blocked that entire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You can always walk down and get a cupcake. from the-
Okay.
Yeah, I
that's
want to do that.
Let's look at like 4 PM. Let's look at like 4 PM, because I know we're not gonna need 3 hours, although I do have something else to potentially add, so. Yeah, let's look at 4.
Derek, if there are things that you'd like to see specifically on some of the topics with land and facilities, please let me and Michelle know so that we can
Yeah.
hit the ground running here.
I certainly like to revisit this, as one of the topics for that land and facilities.
Thank you. Item number 8, board announcements and requests to staff. Who do I start with? Bobby? Do I start with you?
Usually.
I'm the low person on the totem. No, nothing really. I did have one, and I don't know if anybody else received calls, but with regards to the city's housing element general plan, I got a couple calls because I think there had been some. I think one got taken down, but a post, but then other ones seem to insinuate that the development is taking place at Paso Nogales Park or potential development. And so I've received a few calls about that. I didn't know if there was something.
Yeah, we received I've received a couple calls and emails. Board member Worse let me know about that on Rants and Raves this morning, and I did respond to all of those posts. Saying that to clarify, housing sites are not on Paso Nogales Park. And the use of the photo is misleading to the public. So I did.
I might need to do it more than once.
Yes, and I did it multiple times.
Yeah.
So, to at least do that, so.
Yeah,
So it seemed like maybe the photographs.
Well,
were-
it wasn't even the photo. I got one that was sent to me that, and I think it got taken down because the person said, please don't develop this develop, like, so
Yeah.
there's been insinuations that it's in the neighborhood,
Yes.
which it is, the
Yes.
proposal, but this one directly said that our park would be developed. So,
Yeah, every time after I was alerted today, I've addressed all of those or tried to, and so as we go.
yeah, that's great, because I just, there's the potential onslaught of emails and texts, so that's really all I have, thank you.
Derek.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, I was very happy with the district's response in relation to the Paso Nogales Park, because I didn't want to in any way say that it was, houses being built on, park property. That's not part of our plan. Then also just wanted to, see people are reminded about the Art and Wine Festival coming up. I plan on attending there and participating in some of the activities. The other items, since I know that we're kind of headed into like a busy time of the year, would be the 4th of July events. I know that the district is supportive of a lot of those types of activities. One that I wanted to see how we might be able to, bring for discussion is the firecracker run. I sort of see that as a recreational opportunity, and if there's some way that the district can be associated with, sponsoring that particular event. I know we do a lot with the post parade, housing it here at the park, but I think it'd be good to have some, connection with the firecracker run as well, if that's going to be offered for this year. I think it is. Yeah. And then the Blues and Brews Festival coming up as well. I'm excited about that. I think there's some cross promotional opportunities there. Perhaps it's part of the 4th of July as well as summer concert series that are happening this summer. And maybe the district's considering having a booth to kind of encourage people to go to the Blues and Brews Festival as well as what was done last year, so. That's kind of what I had.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Secretary Tran.
Thank you. In light of the proclamation to declare this month as Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, I had the same sort of questions that Chair Bernardo had as well too, even though I do appreciate the recognition in the proclamation. Attended a multicultural night at my daughter's school at Bahala Elementary. And it was great. There were 18 different cultures and countries represented, and that's just the area around Bahala, right? And I went around the different tables, had the food displays and all the dances and performances and everything. I just chatted with all the different families, and one of the common themes that I heard frequently was one was, I think we were all surprised by how diverse Pleasant Hill really is. But two, I think we really appreciate that kind of event, bringing together different aspects of the community. And it was great, it was at school, but I was sort of thinking we can do the same as well within the district, leveraging that kind of community strength to do some sort of more diverse types of events, because there's clearly plenty of people who are wanting to do that. So that's sort of just my observation. The other week, I also went to the dog park at Chilpancingo, which is not ours, but I went to it anyways, just to kind of hang out.
Did you take a dog?
I didn't take a dog, no, but apparently so if you actually want to stay at the park, that's the only place with the bench is in the dog park, right? You can't, there's no other place to sit. So I was just kind of hanging out there. I go, I want to go sit somewhere. I go, wait a minute, we don't have any benches in our park. So I went into the dog park. The vibe is actually really cool. It's a tiny park, but it's packed. I was amazed at how many people actually go to that, considering that Paso Nogales is just like right down the street, but a lot of people go there, and it's pretty friendly. And so I just chatted with a number of different people. I think people really liked the vibe that it had, and people are also using the park for their dogs to just sort of run around, which I think is great. The one thing that I sort of remarking is that it's great to sort of have all these dog parks, and I really support people having these dogs that there's a lot of kids in the neighborhood, but there weren't any kids playing in the park, right? And so it's a very high density, it's the highest density area in Pleasant Hill with a lot of different families, and yet there's no play area for any kids to play. So we have 2 dog parks and no kids in that area, which is sort of funny or ironic in my mind. So I know it's on our list of things to do, but I was just sort of remarking that I'm really looking forward to, once that is in, that actually having that park really being utilized, because that park for so long has not been utilized, and to see it now, kind of people coming into it and using it, and then once we get some sort of structure for the kids to play, I think it's going to be a nice little pocket park for the neighborhood. Just an observation. That's it.
Awesome. Great observations. All right, thank you. Ms. Chair Benson.
We attended the Laugh, Love and Learn on May 5th. We went early, I think about a half hour after it started, and we were amazed. There's all these vendors and also many people from the public just there at, it was like 8:30, 8:45.
I like to be early.
Oh my God. There were a lot of people there. So it was great to just walk around and see, what was there for that event at the senior center. And I was able to say hi to Holly, but I didn't really get to thank them. So I want to thank Collie Freites and Karen McKinney and Michael Malalastis and Dana Bush for all the work, and all the other staff people that obviously put that together. I wasn't there. I know they had sessions, that if you wanted to pay for sessions, we didn't do that. But I did, a friend of mine, I had let her know about it, and she has a lot of care issues with some relatives, and she definitely wanted to be there for some of the information, not just picking it up at the various vendor sites, but to go to some of the discussion throughout. I guess it was until noon.
Yeah, it was until, yeah.
But it was a very nice event and,
It's back after 3 years.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
Could have been.
Yeah, there used to be tickets that were sold to that, and then if you wanted to stay for lunch, you paid a little more. Was this a free event?
Well, the vendor fare is always free, so, and then there's registration for the other limited seating. And so, those are all sessions, on different various topics, so. And that's always been a registration, but the vendor fare is always free, and it's various providers for, those senior citizens, and so.
Yeah, it was huge.
It's always very, very popular, yeah. It was great that we were able to bring it back this year, so.
It was very, very worthwhile, absolutely worthwhile for people that need that for their families. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, I crab a lot about the condition of the bocce courts at Roger Smith Park, but I want to say that they are looking awesome. Tom, to you and to your staff, they really look wonderful. I don't know where you're getting the oyster shell, but it makes a huge difference to. They really look great. They've looked great the last 3 or 4 games that we played. So thank you very much for that. Yeah. Didn't hear a single complaint. And then with respect to re-registration for bocce, I know that's being done a little differently with online, more online registration or something. Anyway, to the extent that Victoria is managing that, it sounds like it's going very smoothly.
Great.
Yeah, so just
Pass
a
that on.
shout out to Victoria.
Great.
I know your brain needed to be picked, and it sounds like she picked it really well. Excellent. And last, I wanted just to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day, and for significant others or wives, spouses, whatever. Happy Mother's Day to everybody, and hope you have all a wonderful Sunday. And with that, we will adjourn this meeting at looks like 8:04. All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Great.